Since you brought up Duterte already, let's talk about local politics naman. I know you've also got
Blogger
thoughts.
extraordinary, yeah.
In your
You've also got thoughts on it. Okay, what
On
is
Twitter.
going on with local
Facebook.
politics in a nutshell? What did you make of all the hearings, especially the OVP budget hearing from last week?
Well, I mean, just I was talking to some congressmen who should have been informed. They categorically denied that there's an impeachment.
Okay.
I don't know where
Everyone denies that
Vice
there's an
President Sara
impeachment
Duterte
trial.
got it. Probably from my podcast, she got the idea of impeachment or something like that. My
If there was
understanding.
a plan, would they really tell you, though?
Of course,
TV?
they won't tell it on the record. But nevertheless, a lot of these people won't deny that there could be legal grounds still to push for the impeachment. What they're saying is that politically there's no nefarious plot. But they won't deny that legally, whether it's a confidential fund issue or the catch-all case of betrayal of public trust, you can interpret that quite liberally in order to provide a ground. But the election is coming really soon, in a month, and then the registration for certificate of candidacy, and then the break will come by the end of this month. So there are multiple elements there, but my understanding is people want to I call it the boiler room strategy. Just pile on pressure and pressure and pressure on the Dutertes, make them make more and more and more mistake, so that either they become radioactive in the upcoming elections, meaning everyone else will think they're too rogue to ally with them as the opposition, or even force Sara to reconsider the office of the vice president. She already made step one, which is get out of the cabinet. Maybe step two is to run for mayor in Davao to protect the rear. Because as we speak, there are people who are saying maybe the Nograleses will finally make another strong run for the top post in Davao. So this is the double Cold War happening right now. So at the international level, the Philippines is navigating U.S.-China Cold War while holding our ground. At the domestic level, this is Duterte-Marcos Cold War, right? And both these Cold Wars are asymmetrical. At the West Philippines, China has the upper hand, but domestically, the administration has the upper hand.
Are you
ahead
not
of the midterm
afraid that
elections.
all this so-called, I'm going to put them in quotation marks, bullying towards Dutertes by pretty much everybody else, including the traditional opposition, do you not think this will actually
Work in their favor?
Work in their favor. I mean, there's still about almost 4 years to go in the Marcos administration.
Filipinos love
An
underdogs.
underdog.
Especially
Yes.
if she gets impeached. Especially if she gets impeached.
I think if there's one thing we've learned so far is Vice President Sara Duterte has a hard time showing herself as a victim. She built her national profile, quite
With
literally
the-
like
yeah.
that. And I noticed if you watch her very carefully during her press conference, one of the few spontaneous she gave, she said, they're going after my brother, my husband. Suddenly her voice broke for a second. I could imagine she could go in tears, and then suddenly she held herself. So she's instinctively built herself into this strong, uncompromising woman, which has its value. But now nahihirapan siya to show a victim side. So that's why in the budget hearings, she could have shown herself as a victim, this is persecution. But when she fought back aggressively and used all of these non-sequitur attacks on the people, so I'm not sure her skill is at the level of her father in terms of spontaneity and all. Some would even say, critics would say, she's a poor replica of her father. And some would say the father itself was not
Although
the
I just came from
best
Davao, and
entity.
there's this impression there that the Duterte family has been betrayed by the Marcos family, and that Davao is being ganged up upon. And even with this Kingdom of Jesus Christ issue, their economy is down, and
They're not getting the budgets, a lot of things, right?
Well, didn't the ex-president call for de facto rebellion? I mean, worse things could have been done to them than, stripping them of budget or whatever accusations they're throwing. I mean, President Marcos Jr., I think, has been very patient. Some would say over-patient with them. I mean, that incitement to rebellion could have been a basis for some major political or legal move. No, my sense is, first of all, there's this deep grievance among our brothers and sisters in Mindanao, including in Davao, that people in Imperial Manila, have this negative thing about them.
And
Either
that was
they
actually
ignore
brought
them.
up with me.
That always comes up.
This issue was
Even
like
us
that-
from
that's
Baguio
something
have
new.
that sense
Yeah.
about people in Manila, that you have this kind of Imperial Manila mindset.
That's what he campaigned on.
Yeah, that will never go away. I think and then there's another point. If you notice the kingdom of the whole Kibuloy sect, they keep on mentioning US. And they try to portray it not only as a betrayal of Marcos of Dutertes, but Marcos being supposedly a proxy of America. So the FBI wanted list of Kibuloy is being connected to BBM, West Philippines. It's a very convoluted
There is
narrative.
a sense of that, though,
There is a
especially on
sense of
social
that.
media.
Yes, and it has its certain resonance. What I'm not clear is whether the resonance extends beyond certain quarters, particularly in Mindanao. So if you look at the surveys, sobrang wide yung spread eh.
Yeah.
Like approvals of SAR are universal in Mindanao, but significant down in Luzon areas
Right.
and up for grabs. If you look at West Philippine Sea issue, sobrang galit ang tao sa China sa Luzon,
Correct.
biglang
Yeah.
sa Mindanao, it's a different point of view.
Yeah.
So you can see kind of a political
I can
multiverse
see the
situation
effect of
there.
this in 2028, but how about the midterms next year?
This is where there's a debate, right? So there's a school of thought that says, now that Marcos is the administration, they have the machinery ahead of the elections. The government has the leverage over legislators to push for impeachment or to pin down the Dutertes or leverage the institutional states. Because pagtapos ng midterm elections, by 2025, ang usapan 2028. And if Sara is still number one, yari ka. But there are others who are saying, well, not necessarily. It's not like Sara is the only game in town. The Tulfos are doing
Rafi
fantastic in
Tulfo.
surveys. Senator Rafi Tulfo is already leading in some of the surveys for president, and Erwin Tulfo or Ben Tulfo will be competing for number one. Baka labanan pa ng mga Tulfo yan. I mean, so it's not like Dutertes are the only game in town. So I think it's still up for grabs whether Marcos still has a time to marginalize sufficiently the Dutertes. But clearly, what is clear to us is the Dutertes are fighting for survival. And when the Dutertes are cornered, they're capable of anything.
Yeah.
Whether self-defeating
Yeah.
or a brilliant political
Yeah.
move. So never underestimate the Dutertes. For everything I say, I never underestimate Dutertes.
Wow.
And I always say,
So you've learned
watch
your
very
lesson.
careful. No,
Wait. Before.
2015, I said Digong is a dark horse.
Oh, you did?
2015,
Okay.
August.
All right.
I'm one of the first people ever on TV who said never underestimate that guy. So I think people misunderstand. They think that I'm dismissive. So I use humor, right,
Yeah.
to make sure my bashers don't get too angry. But I never underestimate
Okay,
Dutertes.
we're being told to wrap up, but one last very quick question, which is what do we know about the International Criminal Court? Your good friend Ronald Llamas is convinced the warrant is going to be issued sometime September. It's already September.
Well, Justice
What-
Scorpio said that on my podcast. I was also at The Hague and made my own questions around and Marites a little bit around and all. You never get a straightforward answer because the ICC is very,
Secretive.
some countries had to use intelligence services to
Yeah.
get to know whether the warrant of arrest, for instance, for Netanyahu will come, for instance, right? So there's a secrecy around it. But the things that is getting out, ang tanong lang is, will there be an issuance of blue notice or red notice?
Oh,
because if it's red notice, ibang usapan yan eh.
So kulay na lang ang pinag-uusapan.
So it's almost inevitable. The question is not only the time, but what color of notice. And people
If it's-
they can go on Google and see what is the meaning
If
of
it's red
yellow,
notice-
orange, green, blue, red.
If it's red, he's going to
Red
get
means
hunted
go
down.
for arrest the guy.
Yeah,
Pero if it's
he's
blue,
gonna
it's
be
more
hunted
like
down.
more gather of
Info
information.
gathering.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's
So red lang yung scary, kumbaga.
red ring scare. So if you're Bato de la Rosa, especially Senator Bato and all, I think Senator Bato de la Rosa will not be reacting the way if he's not also hearing something. It's not like kaya some geniuses were saying, why would Heydarian and Carpio say that? The other side, it's like, you think we're the only one who have our sources? So ang tanong dito is, anong kulay
Right.
ang bulaklak na lalabas or something?
Ang
If I can put it
bulletin.
that way. That sounded wrong, but you know what I'm saying. Yeah.
Talk about a euphemism.
Happy September, by the way.
Happy-
Very
very
It's
much.
only
Very
just
much.
the third day of September.
Happy
We
very
will
much.
leave it there.
Third day.
Thank you so
Second
much
day.
for all
Second
your
day.
insights. I'm sorry,
It's-
second day, you're right. Thank you so much for all your insights, geopolitical analyst, and again, I have to say it,
Vlogger
vlogger extraordinaire,
Self-proclaimed.
Self-proclaimed.
Self-proclaimed Richard Heydarian.